acknowledge everyone. Terrific.
Hello, I would like to welcome everyone in our webinar dedicated to a topic of Japan and Global Digital Majority, organized by International Digital Economies Association IDEA and our partners in Japan, FINOLAB, led by Makoto Shibata-san. This webinar dedicated to Japan FinTech Week, which is coming soon, and to Fino Pitch Contest for startups. The role of IDEA is to support that programs with the Global Digital Majority participants and experts and startups as well. So on this note, I would like to give floor to General Secretary of IDEA, Christina Moore-McClung, for welcoming remarks.
Thank you so much. Konnichiwa, Tokyo, and good day to the rest of the Global Digital Majority. It is my honor to open and introduce many of our partners today. We are focusing our attention today on Japan, one of our longest standing historical partners, but more importantly, a global North country with a heart for the global majority. In the Philippines, for one, the amount of overseas assistance, overseas development assistance extended to regions such as the Philippines and Africa cannot be overlooked. Notably, Japan has financed infrastructure projects in the Philippines and in Kenya, for one, close to 141 billion yen in technical cooperation. Another example of cooperation is in Congo, Brazzaville, where, by the way, we will be in May upon the invitation of the Prime Minister to meet all the 12 Francophone speaking African countries. The support that Japan has extended to this region has been remarkable at 0.55 billion yen. In South America, Japan has extended its support to South American universities by investing in sustainable development projects and active trades. In terms of FinTech, which is, we know, the greatest way to create financial inclusion, Lendable MSME FinTech Credit Fund, as of August 2024, JICA has invested $10 million in this fund, which finances early-stage FinTech startups aiming to improve financial access in developing regions across. As of this year, February 2025, JICA has announced a 1 billion yen contribution to IDB to invest in establish the JICA Trust Fund for both the Latin America and the Caribbean region. All of those regions we actively represent in IDEA. When I was in Luxembourg last year, I was delighted to meet the Double Feather Partners. This Tokyo-based venture capital firm has been actively investing in Africa FinTech startups. And later, maybe our historical partner and dear friend, Alex Panican, the Deputy CEO of the Luxembourg House of Financial Technologies, can shed a little bit light into it. SBI Holdings has expanded its investment portfolio to include FinTech companies across Southeast Asia and is one of the biggest and newest investors in Philippine FinTech. On a lighter note, I remember the first ever time that there was the Japan FinTech Week. It was put together last minute, as most events were, amongst friends, and that's how it felt, amongst family, amongst friends. I wanna do a special shout out to Peter Franken, to Kito-san, Takeshi Kito, and of course our partners in the Financial Services Agency of Japan, Ryo, Yoshida, and of course Miss Chihiro Ban, who has been one of our longest standing supporters. Last but not the least, and on a very personal note before I close, I'd like to make a special shout out to who many recognize as one of the fathers of fintech globally, but more specifically of Japan, Makoto Shibata, or affectionately called Shibata-san by all of us. I remember when we first mounted the first ever Philippine FinTech Festival. It was both beautiful, intimate, and chaotic, as most first-time events were. We knew everything was going to be all right when the elevator door opened and I saw someone who looked like Shibata-san. And I said, the Philippines is ready to be recognized globally. His unwavering commitment to innovation, to startups, not only to Asia Pacific, but now to the global majority. And for this, we will continue to be one of the biggest supporters of FINOLAB's startup programs. Shibata-san, we have actually made many friends, including some of those who have won in Tokyo. Special shout out to Jeff Hu of Turing, who we actually met and have become partners with, and who I recently saw actually in Luxembourg. And on this note, it is with the greatest thanks from the global majority that we would like to turn it over to our father, one of our fathers of fintechs globally, Shibata-san. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I guess Amor knows more than myself about how Japanese government is spending money outside of Japan. And especially over the past decade, Japan fintech sector has evolved significantly, driven by regulatory reforms, increased digital adoption, and growing consumer demands for cashless solutions. Traditionally a cash-heavy society, Japan has witnessed a shift toward digital payments, mobile banking, and blockchain-based services. Government initiatives such as the Cashless Japan campaign and regulatory support from the Financial Service Agency have encouraged fintech innovation. And the rise of mobile payment platform like PayPay, AUPay, and Rakuten Pay has accelerated cashless transactions. Additionally, many fintech startups started to collaborate with traditional banks, fostering innovation in financial service, peer-to-peer lending, robo-advisors, and digital asset exchanges have also gained traction, particularly with the FSA's approval of cryptocurrency regulations. And despite initial resistance from established financial institutions, major banks have embraced fintech partnership and developed digital-first strategies. The COVID-19 pandemic further accelerated digital transformation with increased demand for remote banking and contactless payments. We have seen major acquisitions and strategic investment happening. For example, MFG acquired WealthNavi, and S7BC has made a major strategic investment to Money Forward, and Mizuho partnered with Upsider to start venture debt. And looking ahead, Japan's fintech sector is expected to continue growing, fueled by AI-driven financial inclusion solutions, decentralized finance, DeFi, and regulatory advancements. While challenges remain, such as cybersecurity and financial inclusion, Japan is positioned itself as fintech hub in Asia, And in 2 weeks' time, from March 3rd, we will have Japan FinTech Week, which will be a good opportunity for many of us to recognize what is happening in Japan with FinTech community, and also a good opportunity for different parts of the world, people to get together and exchange ideas. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Shibata-san. And now I'd like to give word to Chihiro Ban, who is a representative of Japan government and Financial Services Agency of Japan, for your keynote. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Do you mind sharing the slides of Japan FinTech Week? Okay. Okay.
Sure.
So, hi, everyone. This is Chihiro from Financial Services Agency, Government of Japan. And it seems like I cannot share the slide, so just I'm gonna make this speech without slide. So, thank you so much for having me at this wonderful webinar. And I'm Chihiro from FinTech and Innovation Office. FSA is basically the integrated regulator, almost supervising almost all types of financial services provider, including FinTech business. And the FinTech Innovation Office is in charge of innovation policy in financial sector, and we are trying to make a bridge between monitoring team and the private sector. So that's why we have Japan FinTech Week, which will happen this March 3rd to 7th. And during this week, we have several variety types of events. So let's talk about the purpose of these events. The main goal of Japan FinTech Week to promote the attractiveness of Japan FinTech industry globally, and so to create business opportunities. For further development in the FinTech sector, this event will provide an excellent opportunity to announce and exhibit new technologies and services, allowing participants to stay updated to the latest industry trend. So let me introduce the main events. The key events of Japan FinTech Week. We have FinTech Summit, which will feature symposium, workshops, and startup pitches, roundtable, networking sessions, and exhibition booth. Additionally, a dedicated app will be provided to facilitate networking among participants. So this web app, you can use almost all types of events, including the 4F, which is organized by Shibata-san. And please feel free to download the app. I'm gonna share the link after this. So regarding this participation, you will need to register and purchase tickets on the respective events website. So like there is no single ticket for Japan FinTech Week, so you need to register each event individually. So finally, the outcome. So Japan FinTech Week last year, we had more than 13,000 people, 30,000 participants, and more than 50 related partnership events. And then like more than 100 business matching happened. And then the conduct concludes this overview of Japan FinTech Week. We encourage to participate in this wonderful event and help some shape the future of FinTech Japan. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for introducing us Japan FinTech Week and for your keynote. So now I'd like to give words to our speakers who is representing different regions and who are the part of idea community and also friends of Japan. Now I'd like to give word to Mr. Alex Panikan, who is representing LHoFT, Luxembourg House of Financial Technologies. So you have already, I believe, great history and working together with FINOLAB, with Shibata-san. Please share with us what are your current plans in this FinTech Week, and maybe what are the insights of startup community in Europe you can exchange with Japan?
Okay, thank you so much. I didn't expect to be among the first. Nice surprise. Listen, Luxembourg and Japan are quite close historically on the financial side and the fintech side. So I do believe we have seven of the Chinese banks, but six of the biggest Japanese banks are based in Luxembourg. And three of the mega insurers from Japan are also based in Luxembourg for European operations. We have Rakuten, who is the largest e-commerce platform in Japan, and we also have hosted and helped Bitflyer, who is the biggest crypto exchange in Japan, to be hosted in Luxembourg for European operations, and we hosted it at the LHoFT physically. So we have a very good knowledge and a very good partnership with Japan already. However, what I see, maybe I'm wrong, and Shibata-san, maybe you can correct me on that. I still see a few barriers for fintechs from Japan to explore, and Europe at least. I don't know about Africa and Southeast Asia, but for them to come to Europe, it's a bit difficult. Maybe on the knowledge side, they don't know how to attack Europe on the business, cultural side, and also, I guess, a language barrier for many entrepreneurs in Japan. However, I hope one day, and Shibata-san and maybe Amor, that could be one of the project we could have together, is to run some kind of acceleration program for fintechs that are ready to explore other parts, Japanese fintechs explore other parts of Southeast Asia, Europe, or Africa, and train them how to export the services and products. Otherwise, we share on the regulatory side, we share a few things with Japan already. I mean, beyond MiCA, with the digital asset regulation we have in Europe, we do have a very good blockchain and tokenization law in Luxembourg that are quite close to Japan. That's why the crypto exchange like Bitfire came to Luxembourg. And beyond that, another thing, and that I would like to congratulate Shihiro, both the FSA and CSSF, the regulator in Luxembourg, they do have a dedicated desk for fintechs, which helps streamlining their operation and the launch both in Japan and Europe in Luxembourg. So that would be for me a few of the similarities I see. Amor, you mentioned we work very closely with Double Feather. It's a VC fund hosted in Luxembourg with operation across Africa. And it's something I would love to see is more VCs and more capital deployed in Africa from Japan through Luxembourg as the perfect setup for structuring those products. So that's it for me. I don't want to take too much time. Happy to answer your question. One thing I would like to share, if I'm not doing it, Amor will do it. We are running a specific acceleration program for fintechs in Southeast Asia. Japan is not Southeast Asia, but you guys are very involved in that. Takeshi is quite involved promoting. So maybe Shibata-san, you can also promote it to some fintechs in Japan. I will just share the link with you if you allow me 1 second. It's a program we have run last year with most associations incubator in Southeast Asia. It has been a success. We run this program for 8 years. It will be the 9th year this year with Africa. And I mean, Amo is one of the most dynamic person we have in this program. And I would like to thank her a lot for her support. So that's it for me, guys. If I have to jump out, I'm sorry, but I have a small baby who has 7 days waiting for me to be fed.
Thank you so much, Alex. Mwah, mwah.
Thank you so much, Alex. Next is Paul Lee, who is a board member of IDEA and who is a president of Hong Kong FinTech Industry Association. So Paul, please share with us how Hong Kong experience, maybe background and future plans, how Hong Kong works with Japan in terms of ecosystem, building startups, investment, and maybe some innovations from regulatory side, like stable coins development. So please tell us about that.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, clear.
Yes,
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, not Hong Kong, Japan. It is not just about the distance we are close to each other, but Japan is always in our heart because that's the most favorite travel destination for all the Hong Kong people. We love Japanese food and definitely the Japanese culture as well. So just introduce a little bit on Hong Kong FinTech Industry Association. We have established 10 years already. We focus on only two things in the past 10 years. One is policy research and then FinTech education. And when we talk about policy research, 10 years ago, FinTech was a new thing. Now, obviously, everyone use FinTech, banks, new company, tech companies. So now our policy focus is more on the Web3 space because we categorize it as a part of the FinTech industry. And therefore, there are lots of things that we can learn from Japan's regulation because Japan, you already have like around 20 exchanges, and there are new stablecoin regulation coming up, and Hong Kong have a similar journey happening at the same time as well. And why I highlight Web3 is that Web3 industry is by nature or by default an international business model. So in the traditional finance world, Japan finance industry and Hong Kong finance industry is quite different. Therefore, there are quite some barrier that we need to go through in order to have more interaction. But I think this situation will be very different in Web3 space. People are more vibrant, more connected, more open to new ideas. That was my experience in the past few times that I joined Japanese FinTech Festival during the Sakura season and talked to a lot of friends, Web3 people in Japan. I feel like the group of people, the mentality has evolved quite a bit in the Web3 space. And obviously, Hong Kong is not just about the Hong Kong local market. It is about as a door to mainland market or even the Asia or Middle East market. I do see quite some opportunity. For example, in stablecoin, because at the end there are a lot of trade transactions happening between Hong Kong and Japan. Not just about sashimi, it's about a lot of consumer goods and also even commodity trading happening between Hong Kong as a trading hub and also Japan as a major country for consumption of importing of commodity. So in this aspect, now of course all the transaction happens in bank transfer. Bank transfer, you can imagine, is expensive and slow. And I think stablecoin give us a very good starting point to like see if we can connect these trade transactions in a more efficient way. And then definitely we will need stablecoin issuers in Japan and stablecoin issuers in Hong Kong to work close to each other because that involves a lot of regulatory collaboration, travel rules, all kind of AML collaboration. So this is just one of the example that we can think about to enhance the collaboration between these two places using the latest technology, blockchain technology. And I think just to get an initial idea, and definitely we can drill deeper into many other aspects as well. But yeah, very good to talk to each of you in this platform, and thank you, Alex and Amor, to organize this whole event. I really appreciate that as a way to like get to know each other more and then find some more opportunity. And then I think the timing is perfect because in the Web3 world, everyone is talking about regulation. It's no longer like a cowboy wild west kind of age. So it is the best time for regulated or proper participants to go into this space and to really make some real change to the real economy. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Paul, for such an inspiring speech and also insights. So now I'd like to ask David Fehervari, who is the head of Neuron Labs, who is working closely with startup ecosystem in Central Europe, coming from Hungary, and now recently placed in Malaysia, in KL, and working with ASEAN community. So what do you think, what would be perspectives to work together with Japan in this aspect, David?
And first, thank you very much, and greetings from Kuala Lumpur. And we are happy to announce that our local activity is starting with special market entry solutions, and we have the Neuron Labs Tech Asia in Kuala Lumpur, which is the partner company of Neuron Labs. So now we are physically established this two-continent presence. What we have here. Mostly we haven't got too much touch on Japan, and that's why I'm very focused on this webinar, that I want to learn as much as we can. So if you don't mind, I would rather speak about the ASEAN region. We know a little bit much better, and about the ASEAN region, that how it is possible and how it is valuable for European companies entering to Asia, which also includes the ASEAN region and also includes Japan as well. So we have a massive research on why companies from the European market and technology companies might be interested to come to this region in given sectors. Of course, we are focusing on fintech sectors as well, but we have to highlight the interests and the requirements in this region, which means that we also supporting our clients and our partners in health tech and medical technologies and smart city concept and agri-tech technologies. So I think that if any of these companies would like to have a first step here, then it's possible to make by their own and raising some interest. And it's very necessary to do a market research before stepping anywhere around the world and or specifically into this region. As maybe Alex mentioned, the differentiation between the two continents. I totally agree with this, because not only the mindset is different and the cultural behaviors, but the business development and the strategy making. Then, believe me, it sometimes gives me some headache that I really want to understand that the local business strategy is and development is quite different. Like we are thinking in Europe. It seems for me very smooth, and seems for me sometimes in an easier way to set up cooperations, but also a very deep tech cooperations we can find here, where we need to understand the local requirements and of course local benefits. I truly believe that in the ASEAN and the Asian market, the EU tech companies has a relevant role, but I always advise, and this is what we are serving in our programs, to cooperate with locals. So just to come here with a tech solution, it's always difficult. But thanks for the government supports, the government programs, also for accelerator programs, it's possible to cooperate with local talents. And this region has a very massive talent pool and a very smart talent pool. And also what I see that, honestly, I had a feeling 5 years ago when I started it, that there was not as much interest in the European technologies. But a few days ago, for example, I had a very nice discussion with MDEC international directors, and they are still running a program for supporting the European tech companies locally, inviting them here, doing research and development in the Asian region, and also have them to scale up in the ASEAN countries and promoting that service and activities. I think understanding a market is very important, and that's the secret of the differentiation, that localizing the products, localizing the services should be important in all Asian countries to market fit it and validate it, and then it's possible to scale up. But I definitely advise to all technology companies to find a local partner, to find local collaborations, or minimum an advisor to have a smooth market entry, and also to find the opportunities which are zillions around us in the ASEAN region, but we need to find out the right opportunities for the given perspectives and for the given technology companies. This is what we are doing anyway day to day. This is what we are supporting, that we are collaborating with local accelerators in all of the countries and trying to understand the differentiation between that countries, because we are mentioning it as an ASEAN region maybe, but we have to understand that every single country is different and the requirements are different, and also the possibilities are different. I hope it was partly an answer for your question, but let me highlight a little bit the global majority and idea that I had a question a few days ago that how we can enjoy the benefits of IDEA and why it is important for us. And I think C-level networking and key decision-making networking was never as easy in my life as now in the IDEA network, that everybody is welcome. And thank you for all of you for this. And everybody is open for a collaboration and brainstorming together. And also it's a very massive ecosystem to manage programs and cooperations together. So now we not feel alone in this market, as I felt 5 years ago maybe, that we feel like being a part of a family, and then we really can count on all of the different members. I think I know most of you personal also, and we are really happy to meet you again, and we are really open for further cooperations, and thanks for IDEA to supporting us and welcoming us.
Thank you very much, David. And we encourage more Central European startups to take a part in FINOLAB programs, so to enjoy the acceleration process in Japan and expand globally further. And now I'd like to ask Ibu Faya Wongso, who is head and chairperson of Kumpul ID in Indonesia. So to share your experience, you work also closely with the startup community in Indonesia, and you're expert in acceleration, growth strategies. So how do you see you can cooperate with Japan? Maybe there will be great opportunities for VC fundings coming from Japan to Indonesia. Please, Ibu Faya.
Thank you. So I'm Faye from Indonesia, and we've been delighted to actually hosted 12 companies and startups from Japan just recently, actually last November 2024. So we worked together with JETRO and then also some partners supported by Tokyo Metropolitan Government. And what I understand, Japan is really big in pushing the startup ecosystem, especially since 2022, right? And the foreign direct investment in Indonesia in 2023, almost 10% actually coming from Japan. Then that makes Japanese investors' investment to be the fourth largest in Indonesia. And we're talking about fintech in Indonesia. We entrepreneur in entrepreneurship ecosystem, we always say problem is money, isn't it? So when we talked about opportunities, we start to look at challenges first. In Indonesia, we expect the NPL to be below 5%, but then with the rise of fintech in the past years, it was more about P2P. And it could actually go above 10%. And this is because the penetration of credit card or channels to determine credit scoring is very, very low. So our penetration for credit card is only, before it was like 3%, and even though now it has reached 5 to 6%, it's still quite low. So the next part, I think the next boom of fintech in Indonesia is probably how we can be more innovative and then getting like more channels to determine credit scoring. One of the startups coming from Japan to Indonesia was actually about that. I don't know, Credit Engine, if you know. So we are looking at solutions, more deep tech, and cooperations with Japan and also other countries in ASEAN or in the region, to tackle this kind of like solutions in Indonesia. We are the largest B2C market in Southeast Asia, and that's just like a lot of opportunities to explore. Yeah, so I think from my side, just to highlight also the importance to cooperate with local partners. I think I'm very happy to meet all of you through Ibu Amor. Ibu is, how you call it, like ma'am in Indonesian. So I always call her sister. And then Mr. Sibata-san, it's a pleasure to meet. We are always also be part of Sushi Tech in Tokyo. And then, hopefully all of this, links, we can boost each other's fintech ecosystem.
Terima kasih. It's great that you highlighted real practical examples how Japanese investors work with Indonesian startups. I think it's a great benchmark for other countries to follow. And now, Mari Ishikawa, who is the business representative of Turing Chain. Your startup, as we already mentioned, Turing took part in FinoPitch and was one of the winners previously. So we're really excited to know your experience. How was it? And how, in particular, digital certificates based on blockchain, how this field is developing right now. Thank you, Mari.
Hi, thank you. Thank you, Alexander. And nice to meet you all here. Hello. Yeah, and thank you so much for these opportunities today. I'm Mari Ishikawa, the president of Turing Space. Actually, we changed the company's name. We changed from Turing Change to Turing Space, and I'm the representative of the Japanese branch. And as you mentioned, we are a trust tech company who support governments, hospital, bank to issue their e-certificates on blockchain. And in Japan, we also I've seen that Amol also mentioned that yes, we are support Japan FinTech Week (JFF) to issue their attendee certificates, collaborating with UNHCR and Uniqlo. And in my insight from Japan, in Japan, blockchain technology is primarily used for investment, trading assets that cannot be deposited in banks or and financial transaction through smart contract. And with my understanding, blockchain is mainly applied in three areas: investment in cryptocurrency and digital assets, tokenization for NBAS, and decentralized finance. But in recent years, experience those trend has become a shift, and many Japanese companies in finance industries, they are begun to explore how decentralized technology like blockchain can be used to convert bank-provided attribute information into digital certificates. This allows for more efficient cross-border information sharing, such as streamlining the bank account opening process for migrants. So as a trusted company providing digital identity and e-certificate service globally, we are closely observing Japan's increasing using blockchain for managing attribute information. And I remember when we have started driving in Japanese market, many enterprises still rely on centralized system to manage their data. But now with this new trend, more and more enterprises in finance industries are willing to adopt decentralized technology like blockchain to protect their data. So what we are doing now is to boost this new trend, and we also co-founded Asia Pacific Digital Identity APDI Consortium with DNP last year, and has started working on data formats to enable interoperability of verifiable credentials across the Asia Pacific region. And now the working group in the consortium we are focusing on finance, of course, and education and traveler. So in summary, I think the financial sector in Japan is entering a new phase where the application of blockchain is expanding beyond currency and digital assets to identity verification and broader use cases.
Okay, thank you so much, Mari, for the deep dive into blockchain technologies and applications, what you're working on. Tufail Ahmed Khan, he's president of Pakistan Freelancers Association. He's also leading freelancers movement globally together with IDEA. And Tufail is also well-known personal brand leader and builder. So Tufail, please share with us your knowledge, maybe some suggestions for startup leaders, for founders. How can they succeed in their pitches, in their relationship with investors, and their personal profile visibility?
Thank you, Oliver. Thank you, Amor. Thank you for inviting me. The one reason why I am here shows the power of personal branding, that I'm not a fintech expert like you guys, but I'm here as a speaker. So that shows my personal branding and my networking with Amor and Alexander. I met only one time with these guys, but being a personal branding expert among you guys, you all are fintech expert. So my visibility took me here. So all fintech founders, CEOs should work on the visibility. A great fintech product is not enough now. The innovation is not enough now. Why do some fintech founders attract global investors while others struggle? Why do certain CEOs become industry thought leaders while others remain unknown? And why do some fintech startups fail despite having superior products? So it's not just about technology, it's about trust and visibility. Nubank, David, or Vice Christo, they did not just build fintech companies, they built personal brands that made their companies trusted names worldwide. We often hear about Elon Musk, and we would like to hear Elon Musk. We would like to hear Bill Gates. We would like to hear and see the quotes of Steve Jobs. We often go to their pages, their company pages, because of the power of personal brands. So if I ask all of you right now, you must have the company plans, the company 5-year plans, the fintech plans, incubations. So may I ask all of you, if you can raise hand, if you have personal development and personal branding plan for 3 years? Anyone? So personal development and personal branding plan is personal, but it's for your professional success, like you make for your company. So if we have been putting so much efforts on our company, then why we are not putting efforts on ourselves? We want to hear brands, we want to wear brands, we want to eat brands, we want to travel via brands, we want to go for brands, we want to eat branded things. But why can't we make ourselves a brand? If you know that Elon Musk does not put so much marketing budget on his product launches, he just go on X and announce something that I'm going to announce a mobile phone. So personal brands have power. If we work on the visibility, we all should, whatever our field is, we all should make a personal branding plan for at least 3 years, 1 year, and we all should work on the visibility, especially on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has over 1 billion users right now with 57 million registered companies on LinkedIn. 1 billion users, 57 million registered companies from 200 countries. So why should we avoid LinkedIn? Because you know that if people don't trust you, they will not invest in you. And if you are invisible, opportunities will pass you by. And that's why I am also here. LinkedIn can build your authority, attract global opportunities, and position you as a thought leader. If you don't position yourself as a thought leader, you will not know nowhere, because you know that technology and innovations are important things, important pillars. But right now, your branding, your story, your thought leaderships on LinkedIn is very important right now, because everyone is building that technology or coming up with some new innovation, but nobody can beat your 1 year of branding or your articles on LinkedIn, your thought leaderships content, your story. If you continuously sharing your thoughts, your fintech trends, means you know that I have made a creative. I have made a creative for this webinar, and I have posted one day before this webinar on my LinkedIn, and I made the use of this webinar. I told my audience that I will be speaking at Japan FinTech Week. I tagged all of you, mostly people were tagged in my post, and I did the same on my WhatsApp status, my Facebook, my TikTok, my Instagram, my YouTube. Because why should not I be make the most of these speaking engagements? Because these gives you leads as well. If you just go and speak somewhere, if you just post something on your LinkedIn without any plan, so you will not be attracting anything. So 3 steps: show up and share insights at least weekly basis, engage and build relationships globally, whatever your target is, and position yourself as a thought leader, and at least make a personal branding plan for a year for yourself. Because if you love yourself, I know you all are experienced than me, but you all love your company. But why don't you love yourself by coming up with your own plan of branding, content strategy, like you make for your company or like your employees make for your company? So you should follow your personal branding plan, personal development. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tufail. And now I'd like to give a floor to Pavel Fedorov, who is chairman of Salmon Group, with a global banking experience and now leading one of the fast-growing fintech startups or scale-up in the Philippines. So, Pavel, please share maybe some of the your success story, what emerging trends now in consumer banking and finance you can see, and how we can also work together with Japan in this aspect. Thank you.
No, Alex, thank you so much for the introduction, and Amor, thank you so much for introduction to the panel. I'll be relatively quick, not to waste your time. So as you know, we're building Salmon. So Salmon is the best credit-led neobank for Southeast Asia. We started with the Philippines. And in my previous life, before starting Salmon, I was the co-CEO of Tinkoff. So Tinkoff was Russia's largest digital bank, and actually was one of the world's largest digital banks. We're listed on London Stock Exchange with $25 billion market cap, and sort of I think probably one of the best in the world, sort of access to tech talent and engineering talent. So as the water erupted, myself and sort of a few partners of mine, sort of co-founders, decided to branch out on our own and create Salmon, right? With the view of disrupting Southeast Asia. We thought of the right place to land, and we felt that the Philippines was actually the best market to start the business in, right? I mean, it's a fantastic macro story. It's economy that's probably will be growing at close to 7% for foreseeable future. But it's not so much the macro side that we felt very compelled about. You know, the Philippines really epitomizes all the opportunity that's out there in Southeast Asia. Incredibly young population of 24 and a half years. It has very low penetration of credit. I mean, you know, obviously there was a reference to Indonesian credit card penetration. I mean, the Philippines is even lower, and that's amazing, right? So the big banks, the legacy banks, are not really doing their job, right? As they're really not ready for the mobile centric world, right? So you walk around Manila, you see bank branches literally on every corner, and this is the money that's being taken exactly out of pockets of customers. If you look at the mobile app ranking of the applications of the biggest legacy banks in Manila, in the Philippines, right? It's actually some of the lowest rankings in the world, right? There are actually only two big emerging markets where the leading retail bank or banks would be rated at 1.4, 1.6 rating in App Store. And that's actually the Philippines and Nigeria, right? I mean, so beyond that, there is not a single market where, big banks would do so unprepared. So we felt that the Philippines is a great combination of great macro story, very low credit penetration, and extremely, in our view, uncompetitive mobile offering of the legacy banks. So we created the company 2 years ago. I mean, by now we are actually larger than the majority of digital banks in the Philippines. We're not that public. We kind of go sort of below the screen a bit. But we became a licensed bank a year ago. So this bank now is both the the fastest growing and the highest ROE bank in the Philippines in a year's time. Okay. And we're propelling the story with a credit-led approach to customers, essentially offering online, offline loans, cash loans, installment loans, credit cards, access cards. So it's a combination of things that's really driving the growth of our credit portfolio. As I said, I mean, we are going to overtake the largest digital banks in the country pretty soon. We have lots of plans and ambitions. And I believe that the Japanese capital and tech talent and I think the venture ecosystem is quite central to the broader story of Southeast Asia, given the proximity, given the investments by some of the legacy institutions. I mean, if you look at the Philippines, it's quite exemplary. So you have investments by SMBC into CBC. You have obviously UFG present across the board, with the recent investments. You have Mitsui. So it's actually a very full spectrum. But I think what we're seeing is more of a legacy banks investments. And we believe that there is a great frontier that is to be opened, which is more about, AI and tech disrupt. And that's what we do. We're, 100% AI-centric bank. We're a 100% technology-centric bank. I think the opportunity for disrupting the market across consumer lending, cultural asset lending, etc., is second to none. So we are moving very fast, doubling in size every 6 to 9 months. And I believe that Japan could be a pretty central part of the story in making this a success, not only in the Philippines, but also across Southeast Asia. Again, it's been a pleasure talking to the panel and happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pavel, for sharing such an inspiring story. Now I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Kagisho Gishabe, who is a committee head for Africa in IDEA. And Africa was mentioned a couple of times already during our conversation today. So fast-growing market and also the youngest population in the world. So Kagisho, please share with us what interest Africa have in cooperation with Japan, and tell us also about your experience in startups in South Africa. What are you currently working on?
Thank you so much, Alex. And Shibata-san, pleasure to meet you. And thank you for the opportunity, everyone. Look, from our side, obviously representing Africa with an idea, I think this is a brilliant initiative, especially from collaboration between Japan and Africa, for a lack of a better word. And especially Africa FinTech Network, of which that's one of the network initiatives that I sit in as a board member. But obviously with that collaboration could foster or be a catalyst of innovation and true financial inclusion. And I strongly believe that the relationship between Japan and Africa can actually catalyze that. And obviously with Japanese advanced technological expertise. And as you mentioned, Alex, that Africa is growing, we have one of the youngest population in the world. And not only that, I think we are a growing fintech ecosystem as a continent. And both regions can benefit immensely from each other through the collaboration. and in multiple ways. Could look at joint ventures between entities in Japan and within the continent, the African continent, and also exchange of knowledge programs or some sort of exchange programs from knowledge point of view, and also maybe even investments opportunities, since Africa is quite growing, and especially within the fintech ecosystem, there could be some interest from Japanese investors within the continent that both entities could benefit from. And quite recently, I've had a few, funny enough, even yesterday, I had a visit from JETRO, maybe the Japanese counterpart might know. It's called the Japanese External Trade Organization in Johannesburg, here in South Africa. Yeah, they came to pay me a visit to see how, remember, I think I mentioned that I'm the chairman of the FinTech Association of South Africa. So they came to visit me to see how can Japanese entities or companies can collaborate with South African fintechs and possibly find some sort of correlation or coexistence to some degree. And there were a few things that came out of that session. I'm not going to go into them, but we did highlight quite a few from trade missions and seminars and exchange of networks and even events, right? But one thing that came out strongly in that conversation is the ticket 9. I'm sure we all know it's the 9th, basically Tokyo International Conference on African Development, ticket 9. I think it's happening later in the year. So with that in mind, obviously, again, partnerships, collaborations, and networking between the African fintechs and also Japanese companies as well. And second last thing that I want to touch on is the J Bridge. I think maybe which is it's an initiative by Japan, I think by government, the Japanese government, that talks to fintech startups, right? And with J Bridge, I think the aim is to connect Japanese and international startups with potential partners and investors as well. So several fintechs from the conversation that I had yesterday with JETRO, we agreed that we will identify a few fintechs in South Africa that form part of the startup community and see how we can link them or pair them with Japanese counterparts. And these startups, they focus on digital payments, mobile money, even blockchain to some degree. But most importantly, in Africa, because we have started an initiative about free trade amongst African countries. So on a daily basis, cross-border capability plays a major role to say how do people and businesses move money between different countries within the African continent. And for us, that is something that we are pushing strongly, and personally, it's something that is close to my heart. So we playing a major role on cross-border. Last but certainly not least from my side, is that, but those that might know, South Africa is the chair of the G20 this year in 2024, 2025. So with that in mind, actually we have extremely exciting initiatives within the financial sector space, but more focusing on the fintech side of life between now and since the beginning of the year all the way until the end of the final G20 summit. So we believe that the G20 summit in South Africa and the collaboration between the Japanese and African fintechs can also, benefit greatly, and not only just in South Africa or even in Japan, but everyone who's involved within the G20 can participate. And this is, we believe that Africa is the next, frontier, for lack of a better word, because there's so much happening in the continent. And we strongly believe that the relationship between Africa and Japan, especially within the financial sector, holds an immense potential driving of innovation, economic growth, and financial inclusion as well. I think that's it from my side without taking too much time on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Kagiso, and hope to see you in South Africa this year and together with our colleagues and friends. And it was amazing to see highlights and overviews from different regions, from Japan, ASEAN, Africa, Europe, right, Pakistan. And for closing remarks and some summary of our webinar, I'd like to invite Dr. Jochen Biedermann, who is a board member of IDEA, for his closing keynote.
Thank you very much, Alex. I hope everyone can hear me well. For closing, let me highlight a few points. A lot of things have been mentioned already. A few of my points should summarize this discussion, but there are also a few other things which need to be told. First, and because Japan is a topic of this conversation, let me mention that I was deeply impressed from my last trip to Japan in October last year, where together with many other financial center organizations, which I represent in the World Alliance, we not only we're visiting Tokyo. I hope FINOLAB colleagues will not mind me to mention that also Sapporo, Osaka, and Fukuoka are very active in FinTech. Very ambitious, not only to attract international FinTech, but also to upgrade their ecosystem. This is very promising. My home country is Germany, and in Germany you have the same, many cities being active in FinTech, not only the capital. And yeah, this is very beneficial in a larger country. Second, I think this is maybe the elephant in the room. What unites us at IDEA and at probably all the speakers here in this webinar is the wish to collaborate globally in times with geopolitical challenges, where in many parts of the world looks like the direction it looks like going into the opposite direction, more selfish focus on national interest. So this is something we have to fight against by the means we have. Collaboration, partnerships, fostering understanding, cultural bridges, and interacting with each other. So this is something I would say is very important. I don't want to mention any specific countries, but you know what I mean. In terms of the opportunities we have as an industry in FinTech, let me state that, of course, looking back the last 10, 15 years, we have seen so much innovation coming from FinTech companies, from startups, which entered into the traditional banking, insurance, asset management system. But it's a great source of innovation. This is why many countries trying to support this. But we need a level playing field. In some parts of the world and in some industries, we have sort of a level playing field. In other parts of the world, still issues like open banking, open finance, and so on and so forth need to be addressed, so that startups in the same way have access to client data and the right means. Of course, everyone need to comply with a national regulation. This goes without saying. but the national regulation also should support a level playing field in that sense. The third topic I want to mention, close to regulation, the issue of compliance. We see more and more RegTech companies, fintechs addressing regular reporting needs, but also helping to fight against financial crime and so on and so forth. I would say in our industry, this is a booming area, right? So also given, you know, the geopolitical developments, I would say sanction lists will become longer and longer, and we will see much more complexities, and fintechs can help to solve that complexities and help also banks, insurance companies, and other traditional financial industries to fulfill their compliance needs. The third topic I want to mention, and this goes without saying, is artificial intelligence. This is a big game changer in our industry. It starts, of course, with the large language models we see. Basically, I saw already over the last 30 years, always ways to include AI, simple neural network solutions, learning to improve credit scoring and so on. But now it seems to be a real game changer. Ultimately, we will see agents on both sides, on the consumer sides, but also on the provider sides of financial services, which will change a lot. Ultimately, will also change marketing. I used to say, maybe in a few years' time, marketing of financial institution will not address natural persons, but will address agents which are employed by natural persons as a broker of financial services, and things will move to real time. Financial contracts will maybe change on the fly. We will see insurance and other contracts be generated on the fly. So I think this is probably the most significant change we face these days. It raises a number of questions. The question, of course, on fairness, ethical considerations, which are closely tied to cultural developments. Just as an example, while I also have one leg in Asia, I'm coming from Europe. Europe is very risk averse when it comes to AI, but also new technology in general. So if you talk to someone in continental Europe, maybe UK is a little bit of an exception. The focus is on, yeah, what are the risks? What can happen negatively? How can AI affect me negatively? On the other hand, in many parts of Asia, let me mention, this is about Japan, but let me give the example of China for a second. I hope you won't mind. There's, you know, AI is embraced entirely. There's not a single thought about the risk. There's only a thought about the opportunities. Other countries are in between. We need to manage it somehow and bridge those cultural differences. And at the same way, we also need to move data. This is the second challenge I see. We have AI implementation, which require training. And, you know, we want to work them across borders, take into account diversity. So we need to have diverse cross-border training data to train those AIs. And in the financial space is a big issue. It's very difficult to move data across borders in a compliant way, given all the data protection, localization rules, and so on and so forth. So this is something we also need to address. Looking at ASEAN, but in the same way at Africa, I see so many opportunities on a financial center level, on a fintech level, and so on and so forth, right? So if you look at the sheer number of fintechs, countries like Indonesia, or maybe in Africa, Nigeria, lead the pack. There's a lot of development going on, and yeah, they're surpassing already very traditional places for fintech and for finance. But on the other hand, it's difficult to see it from the outside. This is something where we can help as an idea, get a, you know, communicate a better understanding, what's happening in specific countries and how this could benefit the whole world. So because if you go to an average company, financial institution, or even investor in Europe and other parts of the world, they don't know what's happening there. They maybe have a clue what's happening in Hong Kong and Singapore and Asia. They might have a little bit of an idea what's happening in Japan, but this is already tricky, given the cultural differences and the language barriers. But they don't have an idea what's happening in Indonesia or in Vietnam or in many other places. I cannot name all of them. And the same goes for Africa. So this is where we need to help. Communication side, explaining more what's happening, fostering partnerships between fintech ecosystems, helping fintechs to go from A to B, and very practically, and many of us doing so, I also try to do my best by mentorship, helping fintechs with the first steps in a different country. This is always a challenge. I work with fintechs in Africa, in Asia, and try to help them with the first steps. So I know how hard it is to go to a new jurisdiction and being successful there ultimately. So I just can remind everyone to be helpful, not only on a 30,000 feet level, but also very practically pick some fintech startups, some founders you like, and try to be a good mentor and help them on their way. It will be rewarded, maybe not financially, but at least it's something for the heart, and you get a lot of positive feedback and maybe ultimately also find friends. Let me stop here. Thank you for everyone joining this wonderful webinar. I hope to see much more interaction like this, and I hope we can change the world a little bit to the better with our limited means, but we need to give it a try. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jochen Biedermann, and I'm glad that we're closing on such a positive note, so we can, although different challenges, of course, occur in our lives, but we can all work together under the umbrella of IDEA and global majority. And of course, thank you, FINOLAB, for organizing this occasion and webinar. And I'd like to ask everybody to turn on their cameras for the final group photo before we close. Pavel, please, could you turn on your camera? Thank you.
Apologies.
Oliver?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, smile.
Yeah, perfect. Thank
Thank
you,
you, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you, Shibata-san.
Thank you so much.
See you in Tokyo.
See you in
Sayonara.
Tokyo.
Hiro.
Thank you. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.